in the Sustainable Development Dialogues after the Rio Plus 20 meeting. The Rio Plus 20 meeting started many parallel processes. It set up an open working group on sustainable development goals, which has just finished its 13th session in the last month, and it has provided a draft of sustainable development goals, which will be open for negotiations from September onwards, I believe. It also set up a high-level political forum on sustainable development, which is supposed to replace Commission on Sustainable Development, which has been the home of sustainable development dialogues for the last 3 decades. It also set off some more processes like Intergovernmental Committee of Experts on Sustainable Development Financing. There is another Sustainable Energy for All, which is a special initiative of the United Nations Secretary General. We have been trying to sort of follow these debates, and significantly there are 2 sets of challenges. One is very obvious, which is the issue of universality, means of implementation, whether climate change should have a standalone goal or not, whether we should talk about rule of law and governance in sustainable development goals or not. But these, I believe, are a small set of challenges. The bigger one that we see is what we are trying to do in these debates is to find the solutions in the same framework which create a sort of problem. And we are looking for solutions in the same conception of modernity and development, where sort of profits made from scientific and technological innovations and processes are understood as progress, and externalities are cast without any consideration. With these concerns, we have sort of tried to call this consultation, and while the SDGs will bring sort of moral and aspirational force on the countries, but what we have seen that international processes have their own pace and force, but at times it just falls short of bringing enough pressure to bring about the changes in the sectoral policies in countries. This is the main concern behind this consultation, and we think that unless and until we nationalize this debate and include more and more people in the debate and see how we can do a transition from the global agenda to nationalize sustainable development goals at the country level, the SDGs will not be able to bring the kind of dramatic transformation that is required. Without any further ado, now I call upon stage the speakers of the first session. I invite Govind Kelkar. Govind Kelkar has been working on gender issues for quite a long time. She's right now associated with Landesa, the Rural Development Institute. I call upon Ranja Sengupta. Ranja is senior researcher with Third World Network. I also invite Joe Etienne from Bank Information Center, and I also request Ashish Kothari to come on the stage and request him to chair the session. We'll be soon joined by Liz Grande. She's UN Resident Coordinator, and we expect her to speak on role of the UN in nationalizing sustainable development project. In these two days, we have tried to cover the national debate on sustainability, what is happening in the open working group, what is happening at the level of high-level political forum, and maybe some other forums that I mentioned before. And we will also try to see sector-specific issues and how sort of transformation is possible in these issues. Second day will be mainly devoted to the group work on sort of evolving targets and goals for national sustainable development goals, and then we try to look how we can take this conversation forward into different constituencies, into different states, into different regions. Before I hand over the proceedings to Ashish, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Shri Chandrasekhar Sahuji. He is, till very recently, he was Agriculture Minister in Chhattisgarh. He has been a member of Parliament for 2 terms, and he has a significant contribution in Chhattisgarh's bringing about for Chhattisgarh's Food Security Act. I also acknowledge the presence of Shri Vijay Pratap ji, who is convener of Beyond Copenhagen, which is one of the organizers of this event. With these words, I welcome all of you again. I request people sitting in the back chairs to come to the front, and I hand over the proceedings to Ashish.
Thank you, Ajay. I just got in and I was asked to take on this position, so it's a bit of a surprise. And if I'm not very coherent, it's also because I only came in at 2:30 in the morning, so I apologize in advance. We have a little less time than what was on the schedule, so I'm going to get straight into the talks. I'm told that there will be a general discussion on all the talks later on, so we may not. Let me see. I think if there is time, we will have some discussion, maybe or immediate questions, maybe after each talk, so that you don't forget some burning questions that you have in your head. I don't think I'm going to make any remarks. I have a presentation later on in any case, in which I can include my remarks. So let me start off straight off with Govindji. Do you want to speak from here or?
Just few power points so that a process can be quick. So I will start really critical evaluation of the MDGs and why there is a disappointment with the MDGs. What has been achieved and what has not been achieved. That would be the brief I plan to share with you. And where are we now? So these are the, can we put the, yeah.
The last one. The wine. Last one.
What are the MDGs? That slide.
Yeah.
The first one. Next one. Okay. These are the 8 Millennium Development Goals, which are called the MDGs. Okay. That is one. Now these are goals. In 2000, around some of the United Nations parties or the state parties, they met. And there were some vexing problems regarding that growth was being talked about, poverty was not being addressed, women's situation was not addressed. So these are there was lack of education or schooling, there was health conditions were very bad. So these came into existence as the Millennium Development Goals, and the period was given for about 15 years. So if we look at the first goal, eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, there has been some improvement. It is not that there is no improvement. If we take the World Bank rate at that time at $1.25 per day, in terms of the poverty has dropped about 22% in 2010 globally, and slightly more. And and 700 million people are really, the number has been reduced by this 2010, who were living in extreme poverty. So that is the achievement. Achievement in terms of the universal primary education has been better, and 70% of the girls globally, and globally I am talking of now the so-called third world or developing region, they are in the schools, and 90% of the total children, out of that 70% of the girls. So there is still the gender gap that they are, but primary schooling has been improved. Promote gender equality and empowerment as the third goal, as you see, and there has been a very, very limited progress in that, because indicators, these goals also have indicators, which I am not discussing for the shortage of the time. The development of indicators itself was a problem right from the beginning. They said the major problem was women's and girls' education, so education should be improved. Education is improved only at primary level, globally, not at in terms of the technical education and also at higher secondary level. But there has been improvement in the primary level. With regard to the economic rights, with regard to the political participation, economic rights, there were no indicators. Political participation was seen as the participation in national parliament. That was one of the indicators also. So that has been somewhat improved, but not a tremendous improvement in that. Child mortality, under age 5, the mortality rate has dropped down to about 50% in 2012. There are different kind of set of assessment. So there has been some improvement, but lots is needed to be done. Maternal mortality, the health, that also dropped by 45%, and the baseline has been 1990. So 1990 to 2013, there were in 1990 380 million, 380 per 100,000 deaths per year of women in childbirth. Now it is 210. So, and this is totally preventable, and that has been very, very limited progress. And then why the limited progress, that is being addressed now, that would be the issue. Combat HIV, AIDS, malaria and other diseases, that has been, there has been the success with regard to this. ART, 9.5 million people are receiving treatment in 2012. Success with regard to the malaria has also seen substantial improvement. Then improved drinking water. I was surprised to read that there is also improvement in 2.3 million people in 2010 were able to have some kind of drinking water. But 1 million do not still have the drinking water facilities, the which can be called as the drinking water. And ensure environmental sustainability. This has been little progress on that. There has been lot of talk, and there has been concern among the youth. So that is an improvement. But in terms of the significant measures, there have been lot of deadlocks between the north and south countries, and on the principle of the common and differentiated responsibility, which you are familiar, that there has been, India and China has been producing at a massive scale, and there has been a problem of industrial pollution and other things, and they said we have to reduce the poverty. So this has been the tension between the north and south, and other things also, probably unsustainable production and consumption patterns that we go through. So limited progress in that. The two most failed goals are goal number 8, global partnership for development. That has not taken much kind of thing. The revisions and the meetings have resulted in just deadlocks, failures, not blaming South, blaming North, not combining in terms of putting pressure. So these are some of the things that have been there. And the other has been the gender equality, which right from the, so goal number 3 and goal number 8 are the most kind of failed goals, which is very limited effort was made. So what are the major concerns regarding that? And the major concerns are really, and these are the important why I'm building the background for you, the SDGs. Deepen poverty with growth economies. of the 5 countries, I'm talking of the country region, that when they calculated in 2014, in January 2014, that who are the globally extreme poor, India is number 1. With growth economies, that is you can see what is, and China is number 2. And then we have Bangladesh and Mozambique and few other countries. So this is where the large number of the globally extreme poor, by the global standard, extreme poor people live. So that is a major challenge. And that should be the cause of concern for us. Second is the high inequalities at 2 levels or at 3 levels. Between countries, between North and South countries, which we talk a lot and we are familiar about it. But within countries, and the 2 countries I am naming again because I am a student of China's political economy, and also because in India, China is referred as, oh, China is progressing so much, why we are not progressing? But deepened inequalities and widened inequalities, both more than India, are also in China. So China number 1, India number 2. So this is one of the reasons that you see that not only poverty, but inequality is a major concern also. And then there is the inequality between women and men in every household. So these are the 3 levels of inequalities. When we talk of inequality within the countries, there are social inequality, as we know, the caste and ethnicity, indigenous people, or so what we call as Dalits and tribals. That is one of the things who are left out in the process of development. And another is also in every household between men and women. Of course, women are not a monolithic category. There are a kind of things, but by and large, we are talking of the patterns that you find the similar situation of women. Third is the high violence against women. And we are meeting in Delhi, and that should not come as a surprise that what is this high violence that we are talking about. Thank you. And within homes and outside homes. In cities like Delhi, why people do not feel safe, or any woman. So that is this the civilization, is the modernity that we are living? Then environmentally destructive patterns of production and consumption. That is another thing that is along with the climate change impact. And there is so much kind of talk that is going on, and it has increased kind of thing. That is if you look at the assessment of the goal, it has increased, but from 1990 to 2013, it has increased by 50%. So recently in the last month, I've been part of many meetings in Bangkok, both South Asia and Southeast Asia, and China, East Asia also. What should be the accountability of the government to the people? When we talking of the sustainable goals, then we should talk of what kind of accountability should be. What are the problems with the MDG? Why we are talking of now SDGs, sustainable goal, not because of the Rio Principle, but otherwise also. So, emphasis on poverty, that should be there. People should be made more aware that are we also generating poverty by our consumption pattern? That would be our government are accountable to the people to what extent inequality increase, lack of progress on gender equality, the missing accountability to the people. Plans are made. See our beautiful plans, 12th 5-year plan and 11th 5-year plan. And they say everything is there what we are talking about. So, but they are not implemented. And the global partnership to address the major MDGs and why they have failed, why there was no global partnership. Next one. So the agenda for development justice emerged in the, I am talking of now the civil society groups discussion. What should be the agenda for development justice? One is that achieve distributive justice. The state and development agencies must reduce inequality, 3 levels of equality that I talked about. The state and development agencies must guarantee secure rights of agricultural workers to land and productive assets or productive resources. And 84% or now 79% after the reduction, these workers are women. But I am talking of agricultural workers because they work in agriculture. And less than 10% of them have the right to land, which we will discuss later. So this is the second is the to achieve economic justice. And the state and development agencies must develop economy that enable people to have a life with dignity and capability for employment. And I would also include market and private sector in this, which is also accountable. Why we should, just because we don't like private sector or the corporate sector, we should really not make them accountable and they can be let free. But this is what was discussed, and this is the development justice, how we want to make a development justice in the SDGs. Third is the to achieve social and gender justice. A state and development agency must eliminate all forms of discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion and violence and guarantee human rights. That would be very, very important. Now I can explain each of these concepts, but probably we don't have the time, so we'll discuss these in the question answer sessions. Fourth is to achieve ecological justice. That would be the environment in terms of the ensure ecosystem management, sustainable use of forest, water, marine areas and energy. And what we talked about, the sustainable consumption and production patterns. And last one is, the fifth one is accountability to the people and means of implementation. And means of implementation requires, which later will be talked about by Radha, democratic and just governance, transparency that enable people to have informed decisions over their lives, communities and futures. And what are the, how informed decisions are we daily face? There is laws are passed, but ignorance of law is no excuse that you don't follow that. These laws are not propagated. I am giving a very rudimentary example kind of thing. Attention needs to be given women, youth and the most marginalized part to have a free, prior and informed decision making. Not only this came from the indigenous people's meeting, but this applies to all of us. So the last point is about way forward, what should be done. The UN and the high level political forum should ensure the participation of civil society, this was discussed, not only as observers, which has been happening. We are producing shadow reports for every meeting. We are not talking of now shadow reports. We are talking of the full development report and participation of the civil society, not as observers, but as participants with the right to vote, with the right to formulate, as partners. Because they have the technical expertise, no charity, because they have the technical expertise and they are in touch with the what happens at the reality. And institutionalize the civil society participation, and how the institutionalization of the civil society participation has to be there, which has to be gender balanced. So there is something, some blame we need to take also, that we are not really gender balanced, nor we are very gender sensitive. Not everyone, but major civil society, major majority of the civil society organizations are there. We think that when we talk of the people, women are included. Women are not included. Dalits are not included. So when we talk of the people, so this nuanced understanding needs to be done. And the last one is that our important concerns are respect for national spaces. When we talk of the global thing, national, of course, sovereignty has to be seen that. Regular consultation with civil society, peer review mechanism at the regional and sub-regional level. People's SARC is also doing some work. I just got an email today. And women's participation in adequate numbers, not in token representation. That has been happening so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Govindi. Any immediate questions for?
When you talk about the first goal, that's eradicating poverty, do you also take into account the latest reformulation of the purchasing power parity that the World Bank has come with? Because if you take that into account,